In the midst of a desperate situation, you need to run to Jesus, cling to Jesus, and trust in Jesus in the midst of that. There's a story in 2 Kings 4 about the Shunammite. And she is an older woman who, her and her husband live in Shunaim, and they don't have any children. And it just so happens that Elisha passes through that area, and they meet him, and she shows him hospitality. She feeds him, and so he develops a habit as he travels through there of stopping by her house to eat. And it's not long before she tells her husband we should add a little room for the prophet whenever he comes so he can have a place to stay, and they do, and this continues. Well, Elisha says he wants to show kindness to this woman for what she's done, and so he tells her, he says, about a year from now, you're going to have a child. She says, don't tease me with this. Don't lie to me about this. He says, no, it's going to happen. And sure enough, she has a boy, and he grows, and he's healthy and strong. And when he's a young man, he goes out to help his father in the field, and he comes to his dad complaining of his head hurting so bad, and he collapses. So they take him back into the house. And the woman comes to her husband, and she says, I have to get to Elisha. He says, well, we don't know where he is. He's not traveling through. It's not a special occasion. And she says, it doesn't matter. Please just send me. And so they saddle a donkey for her, and one of the young men takes, and she says, don't stop till we get there. And so away they go. As they're approaching to Elisha's in Mount Carmel, he sees her afar off. He says, hey, I know that lady. So he sends his servant. He says, run to her, find out what's wrong, ask if everybody's okay. So Gehazi runs to her, and she says, everything's fine. But when she gets to Elisha, she just collapses at his feet and just grabs a hold of his feet and won't let go. Well, Gehazi wants to get her off, and Elisha says, no, something has happened, and the Lord has hid it from me. And so he asks her, he says, what's going on? And she says, it's the child. And so Elisha takes his staff, he gives it to Gehazi, he says, run and lay this staff on the child. But the Shunammite stays with Elisha, so Gehazi runs. And the mother of the child said, 2 Kings 4:30, as the Lord liveth and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. Well, Gehazi tried taking the staff and putting it on the boy's face, but it didn't do any good. So he came back, and finally Elisha makes it to the house. And he goes in, he prays to the Lord, please, Lord, bring the life back into this child. He actually stretches himself on the child and several different times, and the child comes back, the young man, he comes back to life. He was dead, and he comes back to life. And it's because of the prayer of Elisha. And we see this, and it's such a strange story. It's compelling. It's exciting. I love the stories of Elijah and Elisha. But what is it? What are we to learn from this? And you see, in those days, Israel was so apostate. They were so filled with idolatry. The kings had led the people astray to worship idols, and the temple was a corrupt situation. The people of Israel weren't even going down to Judah to worship. They were worshiping golden calves. And in the midst of all of that, here is God's man, a man who truly loves God, who is true to God, who has a relationship with God. And this woman realizes that Elisha is God's man. And she knows that what she has, her son, is a gift from God, through God's man. And she knows that her only hope is to get to God's man. God's man is the one who can help her. And for you and I, we realize that Elisha is a picture of the Lord Jesus Christ. And the Lord Jesus Christ, like Elisha, brought life. He is life. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And so I want to encourage you this morning, learn from the Shunammite, be like the Shunammite, run to Jesus, cling to Jesus. Say with the Shunammite, I will not leave thee. Know, like the Shunammite, that it's God's man, Jesus, that he's the one that can bring the answer. He's the one who can bring life where there's death. God bless you. Have a great day.